Hey everyone, my name's Austin, I'm 22 and this is my first YouTube video. I'm currently travelling Australia in my van. I've been working carpentry along the way to pay for my trip so far. I have an I-load van. It has a few electrical appliances that need powering. Fridge, styling, lights, cooking equipment, fan and various outlets. I'm about to travel to northern Queensland, the NT and WA. I plan on eventually later this year finishing my lap around Australia and returning to Melbourne. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos documenting work, personal projects and travelling that I do. I've done these things that I wish I had filmed in the past. Most of the time, in the moment, it has always felt like I'm too pressured for time to make some clips of it. Recently I thought, stuff it, let's film some stuff. I've just upgraded my power system in my van to facilitate the previous appliances that I said. My previous system that powered these was good enough to get me by, but not quite sufficient enough to be consistently relied upon when there was no sun for solar and I wasn't driving long distances each day to charge the battery via alternator charge. This video will be me wiring up the system with my new battery and charger. I hope you enjoy. PS, I would recommend getting at least 150 amp hour battery to be safe if you're planning on relying on a 12 volt setup for more than a few days. I would also recommend the latest King's DCDC charger. It makes wiring the 12 volt circuits so easy. Alright guys, I just wanted to start this video by showing you what I do before I start any project really involving construction. I like to first make myself a quote list, even if it's for myself or something that's not a quote. Any type of project, write yourself a description, all the work that you need to do. Just brainstorm the materials and supplies that you'll need. You can do all this other stuff too. But then once you fill this out, you can fill out a spreadsheet to get all your materials that you need. And then from that, you can figure out yourself a schedule. Obviously, this isn't a very good schedule. It's not a very big job, so I haven't really gone too far into it. But it's also important to get yourself a plan. So this is my old electrical plan of my van. And then I just took some time to sketch this new one out. I didn't actually end up using this plan exactly how this is drawn, but it gives you a good idea of what you need to do and helps give you a good plan. So, figured out where to put the battery. I ended up mounting it behind the passenger seat. It was a bit annoying because I had to cut this timber out, which is screwed to the floor, which is holding up this bit of carcass which supports all the drawers and stuff. So I had to pull this fridge drawer out and reinforce it so I could cut that piece of timber out. But yeah, I've got it in there. I got a little wedge in there which stops it moving that way, and then this timber stops it moving up and down, and then it can't obviously move forward and backwards because it's pressed hard into the seat there. So yeah, that's the first step that I've done. Find your battery. Now I've got one of my batteries going, I can run all my other leads that I need to run to the battery, mount everything and get going. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do, now I've got the battery in, I'm going to make a little wooden cover just for the terminals so nothing can short them out, and it'll also make it look a bit neater so you don't see all those cords. Alright, so this is a little box, little cover. Just have a little overhang there that I can screw down into the timber holding the battery in. Just need to glue it up, screw it up. Nice. Here's the finished cover. Just going to varnish it. This is an inverter. This is also part of the reason I upgraded my battery, also for the storage, but this thing, so I can run 240 volt up to 500 watts. So this thing's pretty easy, just plug it in to your battery, and just gonna wire in a fuse on it as well, 50 amp. Alright, so this is another main piece of kit, DCDC charger for the battery. Charges it at 40 amps, about 15 volts I think. This is the solar input, plug your solar into there. This is the lead that goes to the battery. This is the alternator as well, so you connect this to the alternator, and then this thing has all the complex circuits in it that charges the battery. This is a temperature gauge for the battery and an on-off sensor. Pretty cool piece of kit. Right, so got the inverter and the charger mounted. I think it's in a nice spot. The leads will all just be in that little pocket there, so it's all good. Step is to run the lead from the alternator to the new battery. This is the lead from the old second battery setup. It's still active, so I'm just going to disconnect that. I think I'm just going to tape it up and maybe zip tie it back there. I'm not going to rip it out or anything. I'm actually going to leave the second battery, so I'll have 3 batteries. And if I ever need to use that battery for anything, I can just simply, hook this back in and start charging it off the alternator again. So actually getting the cable through the firewall can be a bit tricky. So especially in this car, there's like no spare groms that you can run the cable through. But for example, in my old car, it was pretty easy. There was lots of spare groms into the cab. But yeah, this is gonna be annoying. And so I have run the leads from the engine bay, which is, this one's the lead from the positive alternator terminal, and this is the ground. And important thing to note here is, with this circuit, I'm actually going to ground the second battery to my primary battery in my engine bay. But another alternative way that you can do this is you can ground your second battery out separately, which is what I did on my old system. But I'd be interested to know if anyone has any thoughts about grounding out to your other battery compared to grounding it out to the chassis. But yeah, we're all ready to go. Got all the leads here. Might chuck you guys on time lapse and just wire it all up. Alright, so while you're on time lapse, I've got this plug here onto the alternator and the battery ground feeding into the charger. I've got this fuse on the inverter line as well. There's also a fuse hiding under here. This is another fuse. This is from the battery the battery to the DCDC charger. So I haven't plugged that in yet, but about to do that now. Also wired on a few terminals, obviously. Alright, so just hooking up the leads to the battery. It's important you do this in the right area, in the right order. So obviously these leads are just getting hooked up, but this is not connected to anything yet, so as long as you don't touch the ends of the leads together, you should be totally fine. In this case, we've actually got a plug on the end of them, so they can't even touch each other at all, so we're all good. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the alternator and ground this out, and then all I have to do is plug these in, but which I'll do with the car off. Then once the car is on, the alternator should kick in and this bad boy should be live. Alright, just going to do a quick voltage test. We got 13.28. That's just without charging. Alright, just doing another voltage test with the car idling. It's at 13.53, so it's definitely charging. Got a light on there, so all I've got left to do now is chase a wire from this battery along there and along my tool shelf, and then up behind that switchboard over there there's a fuse box, which I'll hook up to this battery instead of my old previous battery, and then Bob will be your uncle. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to wrap this one up here. I'm just going to leave you with this little photo of a method I've discovered soldering recently. If you wrap the solder around the wire, it's very handy.